Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to our architecture tour of Dishonored. So in this video, we are going to head forward into Holman Square, and then we're going to go into the office of the High Overseer of the Church of the Everyman, I think is what it's called. Anyway, so we came up from the distillery district, remember? So through underneath these buildings here, into Holger Square, not Holman Square, my bad. Holger Square. And this is the square with a monument on it. Although, I mean, it says square, but really it's like a little roundabout in the road. Or the road goes around the monument in the middle of the street here. So they're punishing people here. You get tied up in here to be punished in the city square. So that's a little bit oppressive. It's a little public punishment is a little bit oppressive. There's a statue on top of a monument, and the monument is surrounded by this metal stuff. Maybe it's been attacked before. Maybe people have tried to demolish the monument, and so they put the black metal stuff to protect it. All the buildings around here are pretty similar to the stuff we've seen so far, and they're all boarded up. So the Holman Square, it's not much of a square, right? I mean, there's a bit of a square, but there's not much of a square. Oops, wrong button. There's not much of a square here. And then another gate. So you go gate, square, another gate. So the security in the city is out of control, as you can see. And then behind that, we start to see the office of the Overseer. Actually, what's it called? Let me just look at this map. There is a map over here. So, you are here. So we are here at Holman Square. Office of the High Overseer is back here. And then to the backyard. There's a backyard behind the office of the High Overseer. And the river is back there, just in case you're wondering. Alright, so there it is. Nope, don't do that. Alright. The gate is closed, so we are going to have to magic our way out of here. Hold on, can I just climb up this thing? I'm gonna have to climb over this. Alright, so if we imagine that the gate is open, we come through another gate, and then the road goes through, and there's another road crossing this way, right? Although there's all sorts of stuff in the middle of the road. Again, it's walled off, so we can't leave the map. That is the rest of the city there, although there's a big tower back there, look at that. There's an iron tower behind this building here. We're not sure what's behind there. I think it's a walled off part of the city and it's abandoned to the plague. I think is the implication. So then we come through here. What does that say? Make sacrifices in this time of plague. Well, that's that's brutal. So another gate, and a gate, more security, another gate. So I mean, you just can't move around in the city. Although there is a guardhouse here. What does that say? Halt authorized personnel only. So there's a guardhouse blocking this street. This is interesting. I thought this was a main street, but given that there's a gate here, I guess the office of the High Overseer has appropriated the street. Holger Square, that's wrong. Holger Square is back the other way. Golden Cat Distillery District. No, I thought that's Holger Square. I'm pretty sure that sign is wrong. Because I mean, that's not Holger Square, is it? Order shall prevail, if you say so. Alright, let me just come through this guardhouse. And then this street continues along here. That gate blocks the street, although there's no shops back here. So I guess this is also part of the facilities of the Church of the Everyman. You can see the architecture there, and there are similar. And then the street goes out that way, another gate there, another security station. So this is the office of the Overseer. This is the front gate, and we're looking straight at the main building. What can we say about this? A lot of verticality, as before. Although unlike the prison, it's not smooth concrete. You can see that there's stone, right? You can see the... actually, can I zoom in? I don't know what the button for zooming in is. That's not it. I'm just pressing all the buttons. Or do I have to... I don't know, anyway. So you can see from a distance there, those are stone blocks, and there is a bit of stone detailing, right? So there's columns, and there's a little ledge there, more columns, and then the cornice above there, or the top of the building, and a little bit of detailing there. So it's not quite the smooth concrete that we saw in the prison, but the shapes of the building are similar. It's very vertical, long narrow windows, and tall vertical buttresses. So similar to the prison, it is tall in order to be intimidating. And I mean, you would expect there to be multiple stories behind those windows, but maybe there isn't. I think there actually is only one story behind there, which is kind of crazy. Like the ceiling heights are a little bit absurd. I would say that this is older than the prison, but newer than the palace, and possibly newer than the rest of the city. But it is a different style to the rest of the city, right? So the rest of the city has this diagonal roofs and brick and diagonal roofs, whereas this is flat, or it appears to have flat roofs. You can't actually get onto the roof, so I don't know for sure. But it appears to have flat roofs, so it's a different kind of architecture. In the real world, this would be vaguely classical, vaguely Roman, although not quite. But I guess it would be a neoclassical. But it has associations with empires, right? The Roman Empire, and associations with the Greeks and the Romans. So it's often used to suggest power, as opposed to the more vernacular Gothic architecture and similar, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm just kind of talking about this stuff without showing you pictures of it. Maybe I should show some pictures of it. So if we, I guess the British Museum is an example. British Museum. Images. So yeah, so this kind of, well, this is much more Roman than what we see in the game. But this, like the cornices and the columns and the relatively flat roofs, like this is a sort of architecture that is it's foreign, like because the game is kind of British in influence. The Romanesque shapes are foreign, so it implies there's a foreign power here. Although it's not really a foreign power. The Church of the Everyman, I think, is indigenous, but it's supposed to evoke a sense of the unfamiliar, and possibly like a foreign power is here in the city. Alright, so walking up into this space, you'll notice there's another gate here. There's another fence, another gate. And this city so far has been quite claustrophobic, right? This city has narrow streets and small squares and tall buildings. And so this is one of the few open spaces we've found in the game so far, and it's a private open space because it's behind the gate. This gate is presumably not always open like this. And of course there's a gate there, and there's a gate there, and so if you live in the city, you can see the open space behind the gate, but you can't actually go past the gate to enjoy the open space. So I mean, like cities need open spaces because people need places to hang out and gather, and famous examples are like Central Park in New York, or city squares in any city has city squares. But the square here is not open to the public, so you can see it, but you can't go in there, and that's just a special kind of annoying, right? It's just a special kind of annoying when you can see that Like, you live in the crowded part of the city, you can see open space on the other side of the fence, but the fence is closed to you. This is what this is, this square. Okay, so large, symmetrical, tall, vertical lines, flat roofs. It's different from the rest of the city, and very big and very powerful. And symmetry, especially strict symmetry, is another expression of power too. The idea that you can kind of force a rigidness, or you can force a conformity within your symmetrical system, is again another expression of power. Like, you can only do this with a large site, right? Like, if you own one house, you can't force the house on the other side of the street to be symmetrical to yours because you don't own that house. So the fact that you have, like a series of symmetrical things and then just a large thing means that you control everything, right? Symmetry and regularity, so like the regular vertical lines here and the order and everything else lining up means that you can control all the space. And then the more space you control, obviously, the more powerful it is implied that you are. You will also notice that there are no windows on the ground floor. Look at this. Well, there are windows in the basement, but they are mostly closed off. Some of these are open, but they can be closed off. But you'll notice there are no windows on the ground floor. And what this means is that this place is actually a fortress. Right? In order, why would you not have windows on the ground floor? It's because you want to keep people out. And you have thought ahead, and you have thought about what happens if somebody tries to invade, or like if there's a mob that tries to burn down your building. Well, you can keep them out if there's no windows on the ground floor. So having few windows on the ground floor means that this building also functions as a fortress. I forgot the name of the building, but like tall or small windows, no windows on the ground floor, and then big concrete blocks on the side. I mean, this is like, it's not just decorative, right? Like, it serves a purpose, and the purpose is that you can't break in. Well, it's very difficult to break into this building because there's no windows to break into. This stuff, though, this is for gameplay purposes, I suppose. If this was a real building, I don't think they would have this. I mean, even if it's closed, I don't think they would have it. This is for gameplay purposes because despite the building being designed to be difficult to break in, the game requires us to break in and to murder someone in here.
This facility is now in high alert.
Don't worry about the high alert. So if we come into the front door, I wish I could, maybe I can... Let me just momentarily turn off the voices. I think it's voices, because that's going to be annoying. So in the front door, again, a lot of stone. Stone is cold and hard, so this is not a friendly place. There's no carpets either, so you can imagine it would echo. So as you kind of step through the place, well, actually, let me just... Oh, it does echo. Okay, the sound is not as good. So if you listen to the sound of it, well, maybe not there. That's weird. I'm not sure if the audio is correct in the game, but a space like this, because of the hard surfaces, it would echo a lot, and so you would be encouraged to talk quietly because any sound you make would reverberate in the space. And then if someone is in the space talking loudly, then their voices would just kind of echo through the space, and so it feels intimidating when the space echoes like that. I don't know if you've been to a stone structure like this. Most houses, like the houses I live in now, like it's got timber walls and it's got carpet, and so it doesn't echo, right? And it's also warm because it's got carpet, so when you walk on it, your feet don't get cold. But this is the opposite. Oh, I probably should not go to the side room first. Come in here, bright lights, hard surfaces, so everything is hard, I guess is the word. and hard and cold and harsh. Harsh, I think, is the right word. What do we have here? Roving feet, restless hands. So this is a wandering gaze. Restrict the wandering gaze that looks hither and yonder for some flashing thing that easily catches a man's fancy in one moment. So this is their doctrine. The temple of, or the Church of the Everyman has a number of doctrines, and it's written under these monuments in the entry hall into their offices. I think this is the only... I mean, the public, I don't think is supposed to go any further than this. So, you go in the entry hall, and there's really nothing here except the tall space to intimidate you. What happens at the side? I think this is monuments to people. Okay, right. So here, we have High Overseer Stephen Gainsford, High Overseer Scott Grafton. Alright, so this is like, these are the ashes of the past overseers. So it's a monument to their doctrines, it's a monument to their past leaders. And this is the same, right? This, this is broken. John Breton, Francis Perry, right. Alright, so the ground floor is that, and then we go up. I mean, you'll notice, I mean, it's called the Church of the Everyman, but it doesn't feel religious, does it? It feels fascist more than it feels oppressive, more than it feels religious, right? I mean, there's rules for what you should and shouldn't do, and then there's the worshipping of past leaders. And then upstairs, what do we have? This is the High Overseer's meeting room, I think. What does that say? High Overseer's meeting chamber. Oh, it is. So the meeting chamber of the High Overseer, you'll notice that the High Overseer spaces has carpet, has a few more tapestries on the walls, has a fireplace, so this is slightly less cold. So for the High Overseer himself, it is less intimidating, less cold, although there is... oh, this is wood paneling too. And these are wood floors? Are they wood floors or stone floors? I think they're wood floors. Stone outside. So for the High Overseer himself, those spaces are quite nice. Look at this. I mean, there's a bit of color, there's a bit of warmth, there's a bit of softness, right? And then it's the timber paneling, timber floors. But for the public outside, everything is hard and harsh and cold. But for the High Overseer, oh, I need to kill that guy. I need to kill these guys. Sorry. I was meant to prepare the space for the tour, but I forgot about these guys. Let me just prepare these guys so we don't get interrupted. Alright, cool. Alright, so back to our architecture tour after we murder some people. So back to our architecture tour. This is one side of the building and it doesn't lead anywhere. This is kind of weird. I mean, there are closed off doorways, so I suppose they're meant to go somewhere. Is this like a... what is this? This is like a mailing system or a filing system? Not sure why there would be a filing system here. It might be like a pigeonholes for communications. It's strange that this doesn't lead anywhere. It's behind the meeting room, and it doesn't go anywhere. I don't know what this is supposed to be. I really don't. Anyway. Alright, so on one side of the meeting room, there's a hallway. Oh, and these are the staircases that go back down, right? So these are the staircases that lead back to the ground floor. And let me just make sure I get the direction right. So the front door is that way. So the front of the building... let's try not to get confused about this. The front of the building, the open space is that way. And remember, the shape of the building is that there's a wing on that side, and there's a wing on this side, and the two wings flank the open space in the middle, right? So the wing should be up there. Actually, can I? Oh, here we go. Well, we're missing a wing, aren't we? So we are here. We have so this is the ground floor. Holger Square. Oh, I guess Holger Square is the private square, it's not the public square. I thought the public road intersection was in was Holger Square. But if Holger Square is the space just outside the front door, then it's actually a private space, which is a bit strange. So from Holger Square you come in, we can't access the wings on the ground floor, and then when you get up to the upper floor, we can only access the wing on the right. We can't access the wing on the left. So as we walk through these interiors, we have to make sure we understand that the spaces in the game is not entirely consistent with the spaces in the actual architecture. So there should be a wing down here. If this is not closed off, then we have a corridor and then more rooms this way. But if we go to the other wing, which is also incomplete, but is slightly more complete. So the other wing comes down here. Oh, all the windows are closed because the building's on high alert, otherwise we can look outside. So in the other wing we have archive, a document room where there's all sorts of documents, as you might imagine. So this is the archive. It's a library / documents room. It's got a bunch of tables and shelves and filing cabinets filled with documents. Alright, so nothing too special. And what are we looking at? Timber floor, wooden furniture. So again, like these spaces are okay. Look, there's carpets on the staircase too. So I mean, it's not bad. Like you're looking at timber floors and timber paneling. So if this is your office, I mean, it's all right. It's not too harsh. It's not too intimidating. Beyond the archive, though, there's the interrogation room, and you will notice the interrogation room is less friendly. So the floor is just stone. The floor is just stone and metal bars, and I don't know what that hook is for. I guess we can imagine what that hook is for. I'm not gonna speculate. Order shall prevail, and there are implements. I'm gonna cut off various things from your body with that thing. And interrogation room. Up here, there is also a space that overlooks the interrogation. Right. So basically this is a torture chamber, and there's a space for you to observe the torture taking place. This window is open at least. Let me just climb out to see where we are. Right. So we went in the front door, came upstairs, and then this wing is the archive and the interrogation room. The other wing we can't actually access, so we don't know what it is. And also, that building we don't know what it is, and beyond here, there's more stuff back there, but we don't know what that is either. So in the game, you will only actually get to see a very small part of the office of the High Overseer. But from what we can see, there's not much religion going on, is there? I mean, this is meant to be the church of the Everyman. The High Overseer is the leader of the Church of the Everyman. But there's not much faith here. Like there's torture. There's torture. There is a meeting room. There is an archive, and then there is monuments to past leaders and monuments to rules telling you what you can and cannot do with your life. So it really feels more like a building of administration and oppression instead of worship, right? There's no worshipping going on in here. It is purely administration and the oppression of people. And I guess this is what it means to have a theocracy. Like, what is a theocracy? A theocracy means that the religion is also the government, right? And this feels like a government building. And not just any government building, but an oppressive government building. Because let's say a democratic government building would have like a parliament, where if you have a deliberative democracy, then you have a room where all your representatives come together to debate things. And so, like a senate or a congress or a diet or a parliament, I mean, they're all similar things. It's like a bunch of people debating in a debating chamber, right? But there's no debating chamber here, so this particular government structure is dictatorial. The High Overseer simply decides what happens, and then everyone else does it, because there's no debating hall. Like no debating hall means there's no debating. Like you see what I mean? And this is the church. Like, it's not even the government; it's just the church. Isn't that crazy? But this tells us a lot about the game and the society in the game, and we can read from the architecture, the political and social structure of the game, right? Like the church is actually just an oppressive government. There's more though. There's little bits and pieces to the side here. Let me come down here. There are kennels down here if we are interested. Look at that, kennels north. So here we have some, I guess those are boilers. I'm not sure what those are, but we might have hot water systems in the building. Down here we have pipes and things, so we don't need to go down there, but there are pipes and sewers underneath the building. And then there are kennels. Kennels because the church keeps attack dogs. They're called bloodhounds, I think. They're dead too, just like the people. Wait, what? Why are they closed? So, kennels, literally cages with dogs inside. And yeah, those dogs they're not friendly dogs, they're not pets. They are bred to kill people. So down here we have cages. So this is like the basement, and there are kennels, but there are also services in like water pipes, and I don't know if air conditioning is down here, but like electrical equipment is also down here. A lot of pipes. And bunks for the people who maintain the kennels, I suppose. Let me just go through the other side as well. Alright, so there's like a little wash area, a little sleep area. And more equipment and more kennels. Cages where they keep the dogs. And also people. I mean, it says survivor, but he's dead. So he's not really a survivor. So they capture people and feed them to the dogs, is what it means. There are also, not all the dogs, wolfhounds, not all the dogs survive. I didn't kill these ones, I killed the ones outside. These ones were already dead when I came here. So yeah. So underneath, so if you remember, like, so above ground, there's this really kind of, it's imposing but clean and tidy and well ordered monuments, right, to the Church of the Everyman. But then underneath, there's this kind of dingy and ugly and smelly and infested place where they breed dogs to kill people. So this is the dark underbelly of the Church of the Everyman, like literally the dark underbelly, where the atrocities happen, where people, I mean, they're not really survivors. Where the survivors are kept in cages along with the dogs, and everything dies. So this is unsettling. If we come through this door, we'll go back into the office of the High Overseer. Let's see. Oh, also underneath. So this goes back up to the entry hall. So that's the entry hall, right? So down here to kennels. On the other side of the kennels, there's also a secret room. There's a button there in the statue. A secret room where they send prostitutes down here to entertain the High Overseer, I believe, is the implication. There are notes here. If you read the notes, they'll say that yes, they indeed do send prostitutes to the office of the High Overseer, and this is where they work. Right. So again, underneath the austere and tidy temple. I mean, hey, look at that. I mean, that's a lot of red cloth. That is quite a lot of red cloth. Seedy goings on underneath the office of the High Overseer. Literally. I mean, nothing. I've got nothing against sex work. But what the point here is that the High Overseer is secretly a hypocrite. Because, let me just find this stuff. Errant mind, wanton flesh, I guess this is appropriate. Restrict the desires of the wanton flesh. Truly there is no quicker means by which a man's entire life can be upheaved and stifled than, or sifted by man, and sifted than by the depredations of uncontrolled desire. What avail is the concourse of a prostitute, the attention of a loose woman? Nothing. And what of the fruits of such unions? Only sorrow is born and misery is multiplied. So, I mean, I don't have anything against sex work, but the Church of the Everyman has something against sex work. But they are hypocrites as well because they send prostitutes here. So that is what that implies. Let me go back outside and we will go to the backyard. There are two ways to the backyard, by the way. This door here. See that? To backyard, right? So this goes to the backyard. And then on the other side, we can also go to the backyard. If we come back out the front gates. This gate is broken. I'm not sure what that's about. I guess it's for gameplay purposes, so you can sneak in the side. So back here, another gate, and then we're back out into the city. There's a road that leads that way, but it's been fenced off. And then there's a road that leads that way, but it's been fenced off. And this is definitely Plague. By order of the City Watch, stay away, Plague. Right, so this part of the city has been walled off because of the Plague. There's a lot of Plague, aren't there? Like this. There's a lot of stuff that's walled off. Alright. And then behind here is another door to the backyard. Alright, let's go to the backyard. So, behind the office of the High Overseer, you will notice that this is significantly less decorative on the backside. In fact, there's no windows at all on the backside. This is the office of the High Overseer, this building here. This is the flat wall. So on the side that they don't need to intimidate people on, it's just blank. It's just nothing. There's nothing here. I don't think there's anything here. Nope, it's just a dead end. Although we can climb up there, but that's for gameplay purposes. There's also a basement. Oh, this is interesting. There's a basement underneath the office of the High Overseer. If you read these books, Abductee Manifest, they're abducting children to send somewhere. Like, you see this? See, there's doors. Eat the bread if I want to. So they abduct children, bring them here, and then they send them off elsewhere. We read this. The following children have been brought to Godfrey's farm, awaiting passage to Whitecliff on the 13th day month of seeds. Yeah. So they're taking children and they're shipping them off somewhere. We're not sure where or why. But this is also inside, in the basement of the office of the High Overseer. So, again, indications of dodgy goings on in the church. To the backyard, great. The street is slightly convoluted because you have to come down here and then go back up again. I Don't know if this is public or not. I mean, there was a door there, or a gate there. And then back here, there's another door. I guess this is a private area. I don't know who owns it though. Like, does the Church of the Overseer own this private backyard, or do these buildings own this private backyard? I mean, there's no doors on either side. So we're not really sure who owns the space. But, if we just climb up here. Oh, these are doors? Look at this. There's little warehouses back here. You can't go inside there. I don't know if I should. There's nothing that interesting in there. Let me just for the sake of completeness, let me get up here. So back here is a workshop. Hold authorized personnel only. Dog crates, and then there's a little workshop down. Oh wait, no, I think I know. I remember now. So down there, that book tells you that they are destroying bone charms in here, and bone charms are heretical. So the Church of the Everyman is trying to destroy worshippers of the outsider, and so this is, I guess, part of the facilities of the Church of the Everyman. Although it's not clear, is it? Because like the architecture or the environment here is so different from the front. So the front of the building being this really clean, powerful, tall building with white stone and everything. So that's the front of the church. The back is just as ugly as everything else in the city. Which again, you know, it tells us something about this church, right? Like once you get out, so Office of the High Overseer, you come out that door. If you come through the other way, and like yeah, so the backyard is just as ugly as everything else in the city. Look at this, what a mess. So the front they show to the public is very different from what actually happens in their own backyard. So over here there's a workshop. In the workshop they test weapons. There are grenades. Concerning the crossbows, so they test crossbows and grenades here, and there's other manufacturing and labs in here, right? Alright. So the workshop is where they make weapons, or where they develop new weapons. And then on the other side we have bunkhouse. So this is where the guards actually sleep. I mean, if you thought, hey, the Church of the Everyman, they could afford such a fancy building out front. No, that's just the Office of the Overseer. The bunkhouse is actually this. So this is where the guards sleep, or where the lower ranking officers of the church, they sleep here. And as you can see, it's just as bad as every other part of the city. So even within the church, there is a hierarchy, and there is a very pronounced difference in the conditions for the ruling elite versus the conditions for everyone else. Right? So there's a bunkhouse back there, and then there's a mess hall here. In fact, what is this building? It's just a... wait. There's no entrance into this block. Okay. Alright, so this... okay, there's a door there, but this is just closed up. Okay. No doors, no... one door, no windows. Okay, here there's a mess hall. I mean, it's just tables and a kitchen. It's... actually, where's the food storage? That's weird, there's no storage. How do you feed... that might be an oversight, or maybe the building next door is supposed to be storage. Anyway, there's supposed to be food storage here. Anyway, the mess hall, there's kitchen and there's tables. I guess that's mostly complete. Workshop, bunkhouse, and mess hall, and then there's more workshops in here, I think, but most of it is closed off. Most of it's falling apart. And then, out the back, is the river again. And that's where we leave the level. I'm not gonna go down there. Or maybe I should go down there. So again, this is the river. Let me just go down there before we end everything. I guess this, I mean, there used to be a wall here. Maybe this used to be a building. Maybe this used to be interior. I'm not sure, like, what was this? Why would this be here? This implies that there used to be a building here, right? There's a crane, but there's no staircase. So I guess only goods come up here. They ship goods in from the river in the back. I mean, it would make sense if there was a staircase here too, right? Alright, there's nothing special down here. So that is the end of our visit to the office of the High Overseer. So how should we summarize? I mean, first of all, there were the fences and the gates. Everything. There's multiple gates stopping people from getting through to the office of the High Overseer. But if you manage to get past those gates, there is the square in front of the building, one of the few really open spaces in the city. The city doesn't have a lot of open spaces, but one of them is part of the office of the High Overseer. You walk in the front door of the office of the High Overseer, and it's just monuments to faith and past leaders. And it's not even faith, it's more like doctrines. Monuments to doctrines and rules and to past leaders. And then you go upstairs and you find that there's archives, meeting room, and a torture chamber. which like you find the implements of an oppressive government. In the basement of the building, you find the seedy underbelly and the hypocrisy and the bloodhounds training dogs to kill people. And then behind the building, you find a fairly rundown and poorly maintained area where the ordinary people, well, I guess they're not ordinary people, but where the staff, the lower-ranking staff of the church, work and live in conditions that are really rather poor and rather. It's the opposite of extravagant. Let's put it that way. And that, I guess, summarizes the church. It's not really it's not an organization of faith. It's an organization of oppression, and it oppresses its own people just as much as it oppresses the rest of the city, right? Like its own people live in poor conditions, except for the High Overseer, who have really fancy rooms to live in. Alright, so that ends this video. I'll see you in the next one.